All right, guys. So another day and another BLM race narrative proven false, in my opinion. Because as you guys know, I've been covering the whole BLM Carmines situation. You had three women that came to eat at this restaurant that said that they were being racially profiled and that this restaurant was using the vaccine passport as an excuse to racially profile them, right? Which resulted in a huge brawl that went viral. Now, BLM just yesterday went out and protested against this restaurant, accusing them of being racist, right? They spent a whole lot of time talking about race, talking about white people, talking about a whole lot of stuff, but didn't spend that much time or as much time as they should have actually talking about the root cause of a lot of the animosity and the drama and tension that basically led to this situation in the first place, which is the vaccine mandate. Okay, now they talked about it a little bit, but what they really should have done is they should have protested at City Hall. They should have took their grievances to the politicians. But like I said, BLM can't even be useful. It is. And in my opinion, this new surveillance video that's been released by the restaurant basically, in my mind, proves that this BLM narrative is false. That, in my opinion, more than likely, the race card was pulled because these women were simply mad that some men that were trying to join them to eat could not get in because of their vaccine passport. In my mind, this is what it proves. Now, again, the original story from these three women was that they were not allowed in because they didn't have their vaccine passport. However, that is false, right? We know that it's false because the footage now shows that they're going to be coming out of the restaurant, okay? And I'm going to play the footage, but I just want to give you guys context before I get into it. Now, there are going to be three men outside of the restaurant, and you're going to see that in video too when I play it, but that basically matches what the restaurant was saying that actually happened in regards to this situation, which is that the women were already inside eating and three men were trying to join them, and those men did not have their vaccine passports, which apparently made the women upset and led to the altercation. It was not that they were racially profiled from the get-go and that they weren't let inside to eat because they didn't have vaccine passports. We know for a fact that is false, right? So we know the original story that they even said was false. So again, it leads me to believe that, hey, the accusations of racial slurs, right, being thrown at them or whatever, that's probably false as well. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into this video. However, I will say up front, I'm not gonna play all of it, and the reason why is because, you know, they get into, you know, fighting and stuff like that, and I'm kind of sketchy about how YouTube feels about that, right? I've been kind of paranoid about YouTube because, guys, I talk about a lot of spicy topics, and I do it because I feel like it's the right thing to do, but at the same time, I try to find balance, okay? But with that being said, guys, if you haven't considered donating to my Patreon or supporting my Patreon or whatever, you know, please consider doing it, because, you know, I do feel like I take a lot of risk with the topics that I cover. And at any point in time, I'm aware that, you know, hey, I might not be in the good graces of YouTube with the stuff that I talk about. So in order to keep the channel going, to support what I'm doing, please consider supporting the Patreon. And I usually don't ever really even plug the Patreon or the other stuff, you know, that I have in the links in my profile. I just let you guys decide what you want to do. I don't like pressuring people into stuff. But, you know, hey, every now and then I do like to give a reminder. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play this video. Keep in mind, guys, all these hostess here are looking backwards, right? And the women are coming out of the restaurant. So in my opinion, that to me signals that they're making a big fuss coming out of the restaurant, which makes sense considering that the people that they want to join them to eat is not being allowed in the restaurant over not having a vaccine passport. So they're coming out, and I want you guys to see, notice this person right here. This is the person that's going to be attacked. She's turned around, okay? Now, these other three hostesses, it looks like some of them are still turned around, paying attention to what's going on back there. And then you got one that's just kind of looking off in the distance, okay? So you can see they come out, right? This woman right here, the first one that comes out, immediately approaches the lady that's turned around, okay? That's turned around. right? She immediately approaches the lady that's turned around. Now, again, keep in mind, they said that their whole issue was that a racial slur was yelled at them, that one of these hostesses or employees said a racial slur. Now, again, I have a hard time believing that that's the case because, one, I haven't really seen them say anything, right, to suggest that they yelled a racial slur before she actually started to confront somebody. And also on top of that, you have two black employees, or they look black, right? I mean, again, I could be wrong, right? But I'm assuming that there are two black employees here. So again, I have a hard time believing that a racial slur was yelled at them with black employees sitting right here, right? Now, again, I could be wrong. They could not be black. They could be, I don't know, dark-skinned Indians or, people from South America, whatever. Again, but regardless, two people that look black sitting right there. I have a hard time believing that a racial slur was yelled. So now, if you can see, as she's confronting this woman, this lady now said something. Now, if there was a racial slur yelled, this would be the point in which the racial slur would be said, in my opinion. But as you can see, this person already had an issue coming out of the restaurant, right? And the reason was because the people that she wanted to come in and eat with her couldn't come in. So she probably got mad and was like, you know what, I'm going to go confront these people outside about them not letting, the people that we want to come in. That to me makes the most sense, right? That makes the most sense. We'll play a little bit more. Again, she's getting confrontational. Now, you see these guys right here. This guy's coming up behind, right, at the bottom here. Again, to support the story that there was three guys waiting. Now, again, she continues to get confrontational with this one lady who, again, was turned around. I have a hard time believing that this one lady, who's Asian, by the way, she looks Asian, said a racial slur. I have a hard time believing it. Now, who knows? Maybe some random person might have said it. Maybe she might be mistaken for who said it. But again, it seems obvious to me that, this person right here is being attacked for no reason. So yeah, at that point, now it starts to get into the conflict in the brawl, right? And as you can see, they start to really, again, continue to go after that one lady, and these other guys start to pull up. And yeah, this is basically what happens, right? So again, you see this one guy here with his pants sagging. Why is your pants sagging? Where's Don Lemon when you need him, right? Where's Don Lemon to tell these people to pull up their pants, right? That seems to be the only thing Don Lemon is useful for, right? That's one of his greatest takes ever, telling people to pull up their pants. But as you can see here, guys, I mean, look, in my opinion, that footage tells me a whole lot about what happened. First, it proves that the initial story from the three ladies was just absolutely false. They were not racially profiled going in. They had their vaccine passports. They were able to sit down and eat inside, no problems. The problems came when the three men arrived and they did not have their vaccine passports, right? And at that point, they got upset and mad because those other three men could not join them. They went outside and then tried to cause a big fuss and go after the hostesses for it. And when they got arrested and charged, at that point, they started to use the race card and say, oh, well, they called me the N-word, right? And again, I could be wrong, right? I mean, maybe somebody said it, but even if you were called it, right? Even if somebody said it, does it excuse the violence? Did it excuse going after the employees because of it, right? If somebody calls you a racial slur, what you don't do is go fight them. And I get it. Some people do want to fight, right? Some people get called the N-word, and the first thing they want to do is fight. And I get it. I understand how some people feel about it. I'm not going to fight anybody because of it, because at the end of the day, it don't really hurt me, right? I'm not concerned about people who will use that word in a derogatory way. That tells me something about that person. It tells me that that person is probably not on my level, right? So I'm not going to concern myself with that person and risk getting charged over something silly like that. That's just my personal opinion. So the right way to handle it would have been to go to the owner / manager of the restaurant and to express your grievances and say, hey, we were called the N-word or racial slur or whatever. That way the owner of the restaurant can deal with the employee. But that's not what happened. They decided they wanted to fight, right? And that fight ultimately got them charged, in which at that moment, I believe that's when they pulled the race card. But again, I could be wrong about that. But regardless, in my opinion, this makes the whole BLM narrative look silly, right? It makes them look silly because they went out there trying to protest racism with no real evidence that a slur was actually said. You know, going to this restaurant causing a whole lot of problems, a whole lot of commotion over something, in my opinion, that is unsubstantiated claims. And the more footage and evidence that comes out, it seems to suggest that, those claims are just completely false. Again, I don't know for sure. But this is why you should take your protest to town hall. You should take your protest to the politicians because, in my opinion, I don't think this restaurant really wanted to enforce the mandate, right? Because it took so long for them to actually start doing it even after the city implemented it, which to me suggests that they really probably didn't want to do it. But they decided to do it because of the fact that they have to follow the city's mandates, right? They got to be in compliance. I mean, all the employees weren't even wearing masks, right? So obviously they're not trying to be that strict. This is why you take your protest to the politicians. This is why you don't go heckling local businesses that are employing black people, by the way, right? Helping black people get jobs, get work experience. You don't go heckling those businesses talking about racism when you don't even have any proof that any racism occurred. It makes you look silly. It makes you look like your movement shouldn't be taken seriously, that you guys are basically ambulance chasers when it comes to racism. You're race hustlers. You're out here trying to find racism where it doesn't exist. Okay, if there's so much racism out here, then why is it that BLM has essentially been silent for the last year, ever since Joe Biden has been elected, right? Joe Biden gets elected, all of a sudden, police brutality goes away. Racism has been put on the sidelines, right? BLM don't have a reason to protest anymore. I find that funny. And when they do return, they return over this, right? This is what they do. You're protesting at the wrong place. You're trying to fight the wrong people when you really should be protesting at City Hall and talking to these Democrat politicians. Those are the people that put you in this situation. Because again, without the mandate in place, in my opinion, I don't think this happens. Those three guys would be led into the restaurant. They could sit down and eat with you guys, and it would have been fine. But because of the citywide mandate put into place by these Democrat politicians, this is why you got yourself in this situation. But for whatever reason, BLM can't connect the dots on where their actual problems come from, right? They can't connect the dots. They can't connect the dots on the fact that most of their problems come from the Democrats. Most of the things they complain about, and I went over this 1,000 times, guys, most of the policies that they complain about, the so-called systemic racism, always comes from the Democrats. But for whatever reason, they can't connect the dots on it and actually go and take their grievances to the Democrat politicians, to the Democrat Party. Instead, they continue to vote for these same people because the Republicans are racist. Well, I guarantee you, if New York City was ran by Republicans, this wouldn't happen. Wouldn't happen. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.